What if the food you thought was keeping you strong was actually destroying you in silence? Yes, I'm talking about cheese. It looks harmless, it tastes comforting, but inside this everyday food are hidden dangers that most seniors never see coming. Doctors have uncovered hundreds of mistakes people make with dairy, but only 8 of them are deadly. And here's the shocking part. Once you're past 60, your body can't fight back the way it used to. What a young person shrugs off in minutes could push a senior straight into the danger zone. Imagine this. Just one late-night snack of melted cheese can raise your risk of sudden blood pressure spikes by 33%. No warning, no pain, no alarm bells. Just damage quietly building up until one day, it breaks you. That's why in this video, I'm exposing the 8 deadliest cheese mistakes seniors make, counting down from number 8 all the way to the single worst one that could cut years off your life. And trust me, mistake number 3 is so disturbing, even scientists called it alarming. You've probably made it this week without realizing. So before we dive in, do me one quick favor. Hit that like button if you care about protecting your health, and make sure you subscribe. Because the truth about food isn't always what you've been told, and you don't want to miss the life-saving tips we reveal here every week. And while you're at it, drop a comment. How often does cheese sneak into your meals? Once a day? A few times a week? I read every single reply, and your story might help another senior avoid a deadly mistake. Mistake number 8. Eating cheese right before sleep. On the surface, it seems harmless, but cheese is loaded with protein and saturated fat, foods that demand strong stomach acid and long hours of digestion. The problem? As we age, stomach acid levels drop, meaning the digestive process slows to a crawl. So when cheese is eaten right before lying down, it doesn't move through the stomach quickly. Instead, it lingers for hours, ferments, and pushes acid upward. The result? Gas, bloating, acid reflux, and restless sleep. In fact, research published in 2019 in the American Journal of Gastroenterology found that seniors who consumed dairy at night experienced a 33% higher risk of nighttime acid reflux, directly tied to disrupted sleep and spikes in blood pressure. Take Thompson 70, for example. He thought a slice of cheese before bed was harmless comfort food. Within a few weeks, he was jolting awake around 2 a.m., struggling to breathe, his chest on fire. Doctors later confirmed severe reflux that had already damaged his esophagus. When you recline, gravity stops keeping stomach contents where they belong. Cheese makes things worse because fat delays stomach emptying and dairy proteins hang around. The acid that creeps up irritates the throat, raises nighttime cortisol, and triggers blood pressure surges. That's why so many older adults wake up with pounding headaches, racing hearts, and shallow sleep after eating cheese late at night. And the ripple effect is even worse. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you groggy. It raises the risk of stroke, weakens memory, and inflames the body. All from a simple choice that could have been avoided. By cutting out cheese before bedtime, seniors can protect their digestion, their sleep, and their heart. But timing is only half the danger, because the type of cheese you pick can turn things from bad to deadly. Mistake number 7, trusting processed cheese slices. They look convenient, they melt perfectly, and they've been sold for decades as American cheese. But here's the truth. Those bright yellow slices are not real cheese at all. They're factory-made products built from scraps of dairy blended with oils, artificial dyes, chemical binders, and an avalanche of salt. Just one slice holds around 350 to 400 milligrams of sodium. And let's be honest, nobody eats just one. 2 slices on a sandwich already push a senior dangerously close to half of the recommended daily sodium allowance in a single meal. No wonder research shows older adults who regularly eat processed cheese face a 22% higher chance of high blood pressure and an 18% greater risk of stroke compared to those who stick with natural cheeses like mozzarella or feta. And it doesn't stop there. The emulsifiers in these slices wreak havoc on gut bacteria, leading to gas, cramps, and unpredictable digestion. Emily, 73, thought she was making a healthier swap by choosing grilled cheese sandwiches instead of butter on toast. Within months, her doctor sounded the alarm. Her blood pressure was climbing despite her meds. Here's the deeper danger most people miss. Natural cheese carries enzymes and probiotics that aid digestion. Processed cheese has none of that. It's what scientists call dead food, stripped of life, packed with chemicals that inflame the gut lining. That inflammation spreads through the bloodstream, raising CRP markers, damaging blood vessels, and setting the stage for heart attacks. And as bad as that sounds, the next mistake is even more frightening, because it's hiding in plain sight in almost every senior's refrigerator. Mistake number 6, blasting cheese in the microwave until it burns. When cheese is overheated to the point of browning or burning, the proteins and fats inside go through a chemical reaction that creates advanced glycation end products, better known as AGEs. These are poisonous compounds formed when sugars and proteins fuse under extreme heat. Scientists have linked AGEs to faster aging, hardened arteries, and higher risks of both heart and kidney disease. A study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology revealed a shocking fact. Seniors with the greatest intake of AGEs suffered a 35% faster decline in kidney function over just 5 years compared to those who avoided burnt foods. That crispy golden edge on melted cheese? It isn't harmless crunch. It's a toxic buildup waiting to damage your body. Once AGEs enter, they don't just vanish. They stiffen blood vessels, raise inflammation, and overwhelm aging kidneys that already filter more slowly after 60. But the harm doesn't stop there. These compounds latch onto collagen, the very protein that keeps skin smooth, joints flexible, and blood vessels elastic. Over time, this binding effect acts like glue, making arthritis more painful, skin sag more quickly, and circulation less efficient. It's a silent process that locks the body up from the inside. The good news? You don't need to give up melted cheese. Warming it gently on the stove, baking at lower temperatures, or microwaving for shorter bursts gives you the same melt without creating that toxic char. The difference between comfort food and poison is just a few seconds of heat. And if burning cheese can speed up aging in your arteries and kidneys, wait until you hear the next mistake. It's even more alarming. Mistake number 5, eating cheese with sweet fruits like grapes or figs. A lot of people think a cheese platter with grapes or figs is classy, maybe even healthy. But for seniors, that combo can quietly hurt your blood sugar and heart. Here's the problem. Cheese is loaded with saturated fat and sodium. Grapes and figs are full of fast-digesting sugar. Put them together, and you've got the worst of both worlds. The fat slows down digestion, while the sugar sends your blood glucose shooting up. Your pancreas has to work extra hard to deal with it, and after 60, when insulin sensitivity naturally drops, your body simply can't handle those spikes as well. The numbers don't lie. A 2018 study in Diabetes Care showed that older adults who often ate meals high in both sugar and fat had a 27% greater chance of developing type 2 diabetes within just 5 years. Think of Emma, age 73. She loved ending her day with cheese cubes and a handful of grapes. It felt harmless. But within a few months, she was always thirsty, dizzy, and worn out. Her doctor tested her blood sugar. It was already creeping toward diabetes. And the damage doesn't stop at blood sugar. Those sugar spikes, followed by slow fat digestion, also raise triglycerides in the blood. That means higher cholesterol, clogged arteries, and blood pressure that climbs higher and higher. For seniors whose blood vessels are already less flexible, this speeds up plaque buildup and raises the odds of heart disease or stroke. The fix is simple. You don't have to give up cheese. You just need better pairings. Instead of grapes, try cucumber slices. Swap figs for cherry tomatoes. You still get that crunch and freshness, but without the sugar overload. And if this sweet and salty mix can quietly wreck your health, just wait until you see the next mistake. It's tied to bacteria that can turn a single bite of cheese into a trip to the hospital. Mistake number 4, eating mold-ripened cheeses when your immune system is weak. Soft cheeses like brie, camembert, roquefort, or blue cheese may look fancy and taste rich, but for seniors with a weakened immune system, they can be dangerous. These cheeses are purposely made with live molds that give them their signature flavor and creamy texture. For younger, healthy people, that's usually fine. But for older adults, especially those dealing with diabetes, kidney issues, or taking immune-suppressing drugs like steroids or chemotherapy, the risks can be life-threatening. Here's why. The mold in these cheeses creates the perfect environment for harmful bacteria like Listeria monocytogenes to survive. Listeria infections don't happen often, but when they do, they can be deadly. According to the CDC, seniors who get infected face about a 20% death rate. As we age, the body's defenses simply aren't as strong. White blood cells react slower, inflammation hangs around longer, and the gut barrier weakens. That means mold-ripened cheese can slip past those defenses, carrying pathogens that a younger immune system might fight off, but an older one cannot. A 2017 report from the European Food Safety Authority showed seniors over 65 were 10 times more likely to develop severe illness from these soft, moldy cheeses compared to younger adults. Take James, for example. At 70, he loved sprinkling blue cheese on his salad every evening. One night, he developed a fever and stomach cramps. Within 24 hours, he was hospitalized with sepsis from a Listeria infection. What his body handled easily years earlier had suddenly turned into a direct threat. And it's not just infections. Mold spores themselves can trigger allergies, worsen asthma, and irritate the lungs in sensitive seniors. Even if bacteria don't invade, the immune system can still flare up, leaving you exhausted, congested, or short of breath. The good news? You don't need to give up cheese altogether. Hard varieties like Parmesan, cheddar, or Swiss are aged in ways that make them hostile to dangerous bacteria, so they're much safer for seniors. They still pack protein and calcium, without the microbial risk. If mold-ripened cheese can land you in the ER, just wait until you hear the next mistake. It's about a hidden overload that silently drives your blood pressure into the danger zone. Mistake number 3, eating cheese made from raw, unpasteurized milk. This one might surprise you. Some people think unpasteurized cheese is more authentic or artisanal, but for seniors, it can be extremely dangerous. Pasteurization is nothing more than heating milk enough to kill off harmful bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. Without that step, those pathogens can stay alive in the cheese, and just a small amount can be devastating for someone with a weaker immune system. The CDC has investigated outbreaks where raw milk cheeses sent seniors to the hospital at alarming rates. In some cases, more than 80% of older adults who got sick needed hospitalization. For a younger person, it might cause nothing more than stomach cramps or a couple of rough days. But once you're past 60, things change. Stomach acid production drops, making it easier for bacteria to survive the trip through your gut. Add in health conditions like diabetes or kidney problems, and what would have been a week of food poisoning in a 30-year-old can turn into sepsis or organ damage in someone older. Take Olivia, 72. She bought a block of goat cheese at a local farmer's market. 2 days later, she was running a high fever, doubled over with diarrhea. Her family rushed her to the ER, where doctors confirmed the infection came from raw milk used in the cheese. Raw milk cheeses often have higher levels of histamines, the very compounds that can trigger headaches, flushing, or even heart palpitations in sensitive seniors. That aged flavor some people love? It can also be the chemical reaction making your body spiral out of balance. The solution couldn't be simpler. Always check the label and choose cheese made from pasteurized milk. That one small step could be the difference between a safe treat and a medical emergency. And if raw milk can hide invisible bacteria, the next mistake is even trickier. Mistake number 2, putting cheese on almost everything. Eggs in the morning, soup at lunch, pasta or casseroles at night. Before you know it, you're eating cheese 3 times a day without even realizing how much it adds up. That constant layering loads your body with sodium and saturated fat. For seniors, that's a dangerous combo. According to the USDA, adults over 60 who eat cheese daily often get 150% more saturated fat than recommended. Over time, that excess is directly linked to clogged arteries, higher cholesterol, and a much greater chance of heart attacks. Here's how it works. Saturated fat makes arteries stiffer and narrower, while sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, forcing the heart to pump harder. Put them together, and the damage to blood vessels multiplies. And because circulation naturally becomes less flexible with age, seniors feel the effects much faster than younger adults. The numbers are sobering. A 2020 study in hypertension research found seniors who had cheese at more than 1 meal per day faced a 40% higher rate of uncontrolled blood pressure compared to those who ate it only once in a while. Take William, age 75. He loved cheese so much that he topped almost every dish with it. Within months, his doctor warned him that even with medication, his blood pressure was climbing dangerously high. What seemed like a harmless habit was slowly sabotaging his health. Cheese isn't the enemy, it's about how you use it. A small sprinkle can give you calcium and protein, but piling it on meal after meal flips it from helpful to harmful. Seniors need to treat cheese like a garnish, not the main attraction. And if overloading on cheese raises your blood pressure day after day, the #1 mistake is even more shocking, a hidden danger most seniors don't realize until it's far too late. Mistake number 1, eating too much low-fat or diet cheese. At first glance, it seems like the smart choice. Grocery stores line their shelves with packages labeled low-fat, light, or diet cheese, making it look like the safest option for seniors who want to watch their weight or protect their heart. Here's what most people don't realize. When companies take out the fat, they have to put something else in to make it taste and feel the same. Usually, that means extra salt, gums, and chemical thickeners. The end result? Something that feels creamy but loads your body with sodium and additives. In fact, a 2016 study in the Journal of Food Science and Nutrition found that low-fat cheeses had up to 35% more sodium per gram compared to regular cheese. For older adults, that's enough to push blood pressure into dangerous territory. Add in the stabilizers, and you're also looking at stomach problems, bloating, and even strain on the kidneys. And here's the kicker. Because people believe it's healthier, they tend to eat more of it. That's how a so-called diet choice turns into a hidden health trap. Isabella, 69, learned this the hard way. She swapped her favorite cheddar for low-fat slices, thinking she was protecting her heart. But 6 months later, her doctor warned her that her blood pressure was climbing higher than ever. The sodium in those light slices had been undoing all her efforts without her even realizing it. There's also another problem. Seniors actually need some healthy fats to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. Without enough fat, your body can't properly take in those nutrients, leaving bones weaker, immunity lower, and muscles more fragile. By cutting out the fat, low-fat cheese also cuts out the body's ability to use what it needs to stay strong. The bottom line is clear. Eating lots of low-fat cheese is worse than enjoying a small portion of real cheese. One fills you with chemicals and salt, the other gives you nutrients your body can actually use. The label may say light, but the health consequences can be heavy, and in some cases, even deadly. So if you've been told that cutting fat is the safe move, it's time to think again. The key isn't fake diet versions, it's making smarter choices and enjoying cheese in moderation. Now you've seen it, the 8 deadly cheese mistakes that can quietly steal your health, one bite at a time. For years, many seniors have been told that cheese is safe, even necessary. But as we've uncovered, the truth is more complicated. The wrong type of cheese, the wrong timing, or simply too much of it can raise blood pressure, weaken kidneys, disrupt sleep, and in some cases even become life-threatening. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up cheese completely. You just have to be smarter about it. Swap out the processed slices for natural ones, skip the late-night snacks, and watch the portions. Small changes like these can protect your heart, your memory, and your strength far better than any diet label ever could. Remember, aging strong isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about knowing the hidden dangers and making better choices, one meal at a time. If you've made some of these mistakes before, don't panic. Today can be your turning point. So here's my challenge for you. Take what you learned in this video and make one simple change this week. And if you found this eye-opening, hit that like button so more seniors can discover the truth, and share this video with a friend or family member who needs to hear it. Together, we can turn knowledge into power and power into health.